Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, the Season 9 leaks. Now, I know that a lot of people are freaking out about this, and I wanted to sleep on it today to really think about these changes and acknowledge what it is the developers were doing. Now, I will say I'm not in the NDA program. I can't confirm or deny that these are true, but based on other leaks that have happened and also the devs' statements about how things have changed, I think it's very likely that these are true. So Rupal leaked them on his stream, and we're going to go through the notes here today. I'm going to give my thoughts. So let me start out by saying this. I do want to give the devs a fair chance to try this stuff, but ultimately, I think that what this patch does, in short, it's them acknowledging that this iteration of 5v5 hasn't really worked, or else they wouldn't be doing these drastic changes. These are the biggest set of changes that collectively come to the game. There's some good, some bad, some ugly, as per usual with a lot of this stuff. None of it's going to be perfect. I don't think it's going to accomplish its goal of the rationale statement. I don't think it's solvable in 5v5. I'm going to stick to my guns on this one, but let's give it a fair chance and talk about it, break it down. So, global projectile size increase, guys. Most damage-dealing projectile sizes have been increased, allowing all heroes to hit their targets more easily. Hit-scan weapons have the high spread and fire rate of such as Soldier 76's Pulse Rifle have been increased by 0.05, while average hit-scan weapons abilities such as Cassidy's Peacemaker have been increased by 0.08. So yeah, Soldier is going to be able, they're kind of lowering the skill floor of the game. They're just making it easier to get value. I'm not a huge fan of this concept. I like the skill floor and the skill ceiling being as far apart as possible. I think that's what makes gaming special, is then it allows for skill expression, or else, what's the point of really grinding, right? Overwatch did such a great job of that towards the start of the game and progressively added more heroes that took away from this. And I think that design direction is fundamentally flawed in terms of if you want people to invest time and energy in your product. But it could make things feel better. But are they actually, right? Are they actually? I think, what about a hero like Widow? Widow with bigger snipe shots, right? Already insanely high crit rate. Hit scan are going to benefit big time from this. So I'm nervous about making hit scan easier when the big drop off to a lot of the value that it gets is that it's a little bit more I don't want to say difficult, but I'm nervous about making it easier because this makes everything more consistent, which is consistency is key in the game, right? Consistency, I will give them credit, is always been what defines a strong character. So, okay. Travel time projectile weapons that are shotguns, such as Roadhog, Scrap Gun, or have a high fire rate, such as Ramacha's Void Accelerator, have been increased by 0.05. Projectiles that are slower than 50 meters per second, such as Farah's Rocket, are increased by 0.15. Okay. Travel time projectiles that travel 50 meters per second or faster, such as Hunter's Stormbow, are increased by 0.01 or 0.1. So I'm gonna have to relearn how to aim as Hanzo. Listen, I think the big skill of projectiles that allow players to bridge the gap is the fact that they have these slow travel times, right? So I don't think them making DPS easier is the problem, right? We wanted them to make supports harder to play, but instead they're trying to make the whole game easier. I'm really scared that this is going to take away from what makes Overwatch special, right? They're trying to make everyone generalist, and what gave a lot of these characters unique identities is that they weren't. I could be wrong. Here. I admit this. I'm not going to sit here and be like, how dare they do this, right? There's a chance that this could feel a lot better, but these types of changes don't change the flow of the fight, right? And that's the key, and that's what 5v5 has caused with the lack of an off-tank. That's a format thing that's caused that. I think that's where a lot of the shortcomings of this format have kicked in, but we'll see. Sleep Dart's not affected. Whip Shot's not affected. Javelin's not affected. Reinhardt's Fire Strike, rest in peace, not affected. Roadhog's Chain Hook, not affected. Sigma's Accretion, not affected. And Sombra's Virus, not affected. Okay. Here's where things start to get crazy, and this is where people should be scared. Should be very scared, actually. Health pool update. The total health pool for heroes, including health, armor, and shields, are increasing around 15 to 20%. Every time that they've made a health change to the game, and I talked about with Hawk about this extensively yesterday, it's made sustain unbearably annoying. Even if you make damage more consistent, right? At least with healing in the game. This is why I don't think healing is a big problem. I think it's only problematic for some characters that you can't block, right? Not healing as a collective, right? You have to pierce that health pool 100% of the time. There's no way around that health pool, right? It's not going to happen, right? But with healing and some of these abilities sometimes, besides, bar the really brain dead easy ones, there has to be some form of execution, right? The reason why I'm not a fan of this direction for the game, just on paper, like at a broad level, is that like this reward for players, making them tankier, like they don't have to execute to do that. And what made Overwatch beautiful is to get value, you had to execute. And they're just making so much passive value to do it for the players. And I really hope it doesn't take away from what makes the game special. So, okay. Pilot Diva by 25 extra health. Mech Diva by 75 armor. Wauga health increased from 300 to 400. 100 health on Wauga, right? These tanks were already unkillable before. Like, and I don't think healing reduction is the new DPS passive. That's not going to change that when there's a lot of invulnerability abilities as well. So I'm really nervous about it. I think this is going to really shaft the tank player even more, but we'll keep breaking it down. Sigma shields to 275. Roadhog an additional 100 health. Reinhardt gets 75 health. Winston gets 75 health. Some of it being armor, about 25 armor for Winston. Ball's going to get 75 armor. Let's go down to DPS now. Ashe 250, Bastion 275, Cass 250, Echo 250, Genji 250, Hanzo 250, Junkrat 250, Mei 300, Pharah 250, and basically all the DPS pretty much got the same changes except for Widow and Tracer, who only got 25 additional health. For Hanzo players like me and projectile players, you really did get shafted. Like, I'm sure Hanzo's going to feel a lot better with that faster projectile speed and no one-shot. Hanzo does not have a one-shot against most of the DPS in the game. To compensate, they did buff Storm Arrow, but I mean, the big reason I picked Mei is because I can one-shot a Tracer. Mei can't one-shot Tracer anymore, right? Unless you're damage boosted as Mei. So, like, that's what made Mei such a good pick at a Tracer. Like, the amount of breakpoints that just got completely changed here, it's big. And it seems to me like they're just reshuffling the board because this didn't work. And, like, I really wish they would try to backtrack. Oopsie daisies, oops, let me pause. Sorry about that. The work never ends, as you guys know. I forget where I was, but yeah, the breakpoints have all changed drastically. Like, I'm really nervous. Like, I'm sure the heroes will feel better at their floor, but the consequences of this patch, of this balance patch, will ripple on for years. And I'm scared that the consequences of this balance patch are going to continue to ripple on, but it's not going to change the big issues that people have with the PvP of Overwatch 2. And I'm really scared about this, but let's keep going down here, okay? All the supports got the same changes, really. Lifeweaver only got 25 more health, so up to 250. Thank God for that. All these other supports are at, 50 plus more, okay? Except for Zenyatta. Yeah, Zenyatta got that one as well. So Zen is a big winner here. Zen and Mercy, I think Zenyatta being the biggest winner here, without a doubt. Because he can still change a DPS target's breakpoints with Discord. Like, Discord just got so much more valuable. Zen players are kicking and screaming just like Will Ferrell in that one movie. You haven't seen it, go watch it. It's fantastic. Ultimate charge update and a global health passive. Let's start with the global health passive. Global health passive. 20 health points after 5 seconds of not taking damage. This just means people will be able to hold angles more like on their own. Look, I want to see the passives go away. I think they're just features for the sake of being features. I think if you look at what they've done to the game, it hasn't actually helped the micro of the game. And in fact, it's actually limited the plays of micro quite a bit. And the role passive and limited playmaking in general. And generally, when you see big health changes in games, like especially on the upward trends, it generally makes playmaking harder. So I'm really scared. And my prediction is that this ends up being a stalemate meta, like a poke meta. They're kind of making everything double shield. What was so beautiful about Overwatch 1 is things did die aside from IMO abilities. So let's keep it going here. All hero ultimate costs are increased by 10%. Tank Diva's self-destruct. Outer radius increase from damage increase on the max from 900 to 1,000 to compensate. Inner radius got increased from 4 to 6 meters, so they made Diva Bomb better. Doomfist to compensate. Rocket Punch, max impact damage increased from 50 to 75 and max wall slam damage to 30 to 40. Doom is going to be terrible. Like, while his primary, unless his projectile size on his shotgun, on his primary, fix the no regs, like, Doom doesn't need rocket punch buffs. Doom needs gun buffs to his shotgun to compensate for damage, right? Buffing his punch damage is like, that's not going to help him, right? The key with Doom is hitting the primaries, right? And actually doing the damage. So I think Doom is going to be horrible, especially with the DPS passive, because he can't block any incoming damage. Again, I don't like passives. I don't think that they're good. I think if a hero needs a passive, it should be specific to them. But let's keep going down the list, and I'll talk about that DPS passive momentarily. Okay. Queen Rampage, her wound damage over time is increased from 60 to 90. Reinhardt Rocket Hammer damage increase from 85 to 100. And charge is now 275, meaning you can kill a lot of those squishy characters, okay? Like you couldn't kill previously. Winston, Tesla Cannon, damage increase from 60 to 75 per second. Primal Rage, punch damage increase from 40 to 50. I don't know if that's really going to help him that much. Zarya's Particle Cannon, primary fire beam width increase from 0.15 to 0.2. DPS, reload speed bonus. And here's the new passive. Okay, so new damage roll passive. Dealing damage reduces healing blocked by webcam for a certain amount of time. So DPS are going to be able to reduce healing on targets for a certain amount of time, okay? I'm not sure what that number is, but here's why this concerns me. DPS heroes are the heroes that will die first in these fights. I know the breakpoints have changed, but you're still going up against invulnerability abilities, right? So I think the easiest thing to do is shoot the tank. But the heroes that rely on the immos, because the immos did not get nerfed and that play slow, are still going to get rewarded, like Sigma, who can block damage altogether, right? So I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I'd have to try it, but on paper, heroes like that are going to be way worse, and they definitely did not compensate Doom's buffs well. So Doom might be really bad. We'll find out here, guys. But that's a big deal. So DPS who tend to die first are the only ones who can slow down the healing in the game, but they still can't pierce through the immos. So what happens when your DPS dies? It'll be like losing your Zarya and Goats, and Hawk said this, and I agree. So if you lose your DPS, you're going to lose your ability to slow down healing a lot, and that's going to be a big deal in a lot of fights. So that's why I think this could end up being pretty flawed. It could end up slowing the game down. Like, your DPS are supposed to be the pawns because they have to fill the off-tank role in this game, so they die first almost all the time, and their KDAs reflect that, right? And yet, if they're the main way to stop these characters from, healing, and the only way that you can get kills from DPS, that design might be fundamentally flawed because the DPS are going to be dying first a lot. So, it's going to be harder to play make. Without a doubt, I think playmaking is going to be significantly harder in this game. I don't care if people hit more shots, right? Shots aren't always hit. Health pools are always there. We'll see, though. We'll definitely have to wait and see. I feel like they just gave everyone aim assist, which is just all right, man, how do you express your skill set? But let's go ahead and break this down. Ash, 14 to 17 on Bob. Cassidy, Deadeye scales up faster. I bet Cass is terrible because his breakpoints are changed too. Echo, focusing beam, width increase from 0.2 to 0.25, and they buff duplicates help. God, focusing beam is going to be a lot hard. Wait, is it easier or harder to proc? I think it's going to be, it's going to be harder to proc now to get targets under half health. So this is a big Echo nerf. Fortnite, man. Fortnite. Gosh dang Fortnite, dude. I don't care if the beam's bigger. I can't pierce it. They took the skill ceiling of the character and they went boom. Ugh. That was the only character I liked playing, man, with good skill expression, and they were crushing her skill ceiling. It's frustrating to read as a high ranked player, but if you're a gold player, maybe you'll love this. It's just probably not though. Okay, Genji Dragonblade swings faster. Hanzo Storm Arrow damage increase to 75 health, and cooldown reduced from 10 to 8 seconds. Hanzo's just gonna be a Storm Arrow bot now, without a doubt. He can't one shot anybody anymore besides Widow and Tracer. Glorified Soldier. I suggested something like this, but I think I was wrong too. I think Hanzo's one-shot gave him a unique identity. It'd be pretty cool if there was a second tank in the game to make sure one-shots weren't as rampant. So my hero identity didn't have to get reworked for a character that I've loved for 7 years and nobody asked to get changed. But what do I know, right? What do I know? Okay, anyway, let's keep it going here. I could be wrong on that. And by the way, I'm not flaming the devs for that change. I did suggest something similar. I think I was wrong. This one, I'm going to blame myself. I think I could have been wrong on this one, but we'll have to try it out. He might just end up being brain dead. Well, it's going to take a couple seasons to see. Okay, Pharah got an entire rework with her self-damage being reduced, her recovery being reduced, her projectile speed increased. Jet Dash is a secondary fire ability that you can horizontal dash in the direction you're moving with a 10-second cooldown. Her jump jets are weaker and the cooldown is increased, but you get more horizontal movement, which is interesting. Though I don't think that helps Pharah, because where Pharah had her unique identity was her ability to stay in the skybox and spam down angles, and that made her unique. But I feel like they're making characters a lot more generalist. And I'm not sure how that's going to work because I think the unique hero identity is what made Overwatch fun. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not trying to bash on them on that one because I could be totally wrong here, just to be clear. And I know I bash on the devs a lot, but when they try something bold, and I had to sleep on this tonight and really think about it, I'm willing to try it. I am. Do I think it's going to solve the issues? No. Do I think that they understand the fundamental issues of the game? No, because they refuse to change the immortalities in the game. But let's give it a chance, guys. But if and when this doesn't solve the core flow of the fight, which I don't think it's going to, let's start talking about 6v6. And I never again want to hear it would take too much work to change 6v6 when they're willing to change literally every breakpoint in the game by changing everybody's health. So I never want to hear that excuse again, but we can come back to it later. So, Pharah. Cooldown gives you 50% of your fuel back. Conch Blast 20% weaker. Range decrease, but it gives 30 impact damage. Barrage reloads your launcher. There's the fuel changes. Symmetra got a wider beam. Support passive now lets them heal 2.5 seconds in instead of 5. So the passive isn't as good because they buffed everything else, but still super strong. Brig, rocket flail, damage increased to 45. Kiriko got a nerf to her projectile size while everybody else got buffed. And I think the breakpoint changes make it so she can't 2-tap anymore. I think it's going to be a 3-tap on that front. So that could help with Kiriko, but she's still going to be able to take these free duels on the side. And we'll see, man. I'm not sure if raising the time to kill when everyone's complaining about nothing dying is the proper answer here, but we're going to find out. Okay. All right, guys. Apparently, these are the rest of the leaks. Like, you still see the Pharah stuff. You still see the sim buffs. Mercy got a buff to sympathetic recovery, probably to compensate for the DPS passive because she would heal less, right? So, therefore, she would get healed less. This could end up being busted, though. Like, again, this is what I'm saying. So, like, say a DPS dies, right? Say it's just like tanks and supports, which ends up happening in a lot of these fights because the DPS die first in this game because they're forced, even more so than the previous game, because they're forced to fill the off-tank role. Like, and those duels happen on the side a lot, right? So the DPS die first. Like, killing a DPS is worth so much. So, like, how do you turn a fight? You, like, the healing, like, it's scary. It's scary. The Moira got a buff too. So, okay. What does this achieve? It makes DPS heroes better against the other roles for sure than they were. Not that that's saying a lot. Here's my problem with it. I don't think this is going to make the game flow any better. And the problem that I've had with Overwatch 2 and 5v5 is that, like, there's not a lot of options, right? And that's what I love the high skill ceiling. That's my opinion. I thought 6v6 encaptured that better, and I think 6v6 also let the skill floor be lower more naturally and allowed for more kills in general, right? Pre-immortality ability. The problem with Overwatch 2 and Overwatch 1 really always was those MOs and a couple characters. Now the problem is those MOs stacking together and 5v5's changes with, like, the tank counter swapping and stuff like this. This makes tanking worse, without a doubt. The tank fights are going to be even more of a stalemate than they were previously, I think. What's the meta going to be? Lord knows, dude. I'm not going to pretend to know. I don't know. I think it's going to be really slow. There's never been a time where they've changed health pools in Overwatch that, like, to this degree, that have not slowed down the game without changing the abilities. I think the MO heroes are going to be even better because heroes like Ana, like, are just going to heal less, and, like, her powerful healing on targets when she's scoped in is, like, what makes her good. Zenyatta's a huge winner. I can tell you right now, Zen is a big boy winner. Zen is a big boy winner. He's tankier. His damage breakpoints don't matter because he has Discord. And Discord, think about this, guys. The Discord nerfs to the actual damage of the character almost mean nothing now, right? Because if everybody's health is increased, oh my God, Discord's going to be even more powerful against tanks. Oh my God. Oh my God. I think this has to make a poke meta. I think this has to make. I would be shocked if dive is any good because, again, you're still going up against all the MO cooldowns, right? And as a DPS, like, the healing has never been what it is. It's that in your first engage, the outcome is fixed because they have an MO, right? So I don't know, man. I think Kiri's still going to be really good. I think Zen's going to be really, really good. I think the game is going to slow down, and I think heroes. Sorry, Ping just messaged me, and I sent her a video where I definitely could beat this alligator in a fight if I had time to prepare. Let me just show you this real quick. Hold on, guys. Listen, real quick. Complete side note here. Look at this. Why women live longer? Now, is this the smartest thing in the world? No, but I could totally do that. I went to a gator farm when I was younger. I know how to deal with these things. Like, above the snout, get the stick. They think I'm a bigger, whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay, back to Overwatch. All right, listen. But I could do it if I had time to prepare. Get that cold-blooded animal cold. Let it, like make it slower, right? You could totally beat it. And I bet all the guys at home know if you have time to prepare, we could beat any animal in the wild. But anyway, what was I saying? Overwatch, yeah. So I'm going to get grilled in the comments for this. I don't care. But you know, it's always slowed down the game, right? When things like this have happened. And I'm going to laugh really hard if it does end up being a whiff, but it doesn't change the frustrations of the tank roll. In fact, it makes it worse. Those tanks that can't mitigate any incoming damage. I don't think it changes anything in the game. I think the tanks that are like can't block damage are going to permanently receive less healing. But yeah, we'll see, guys. We'll see. I'm down to try it out, but this just, again, it's like when we said, hey, guys, at Overwatch 1, please fix all the immortality abilities and bring in double shield, and we like the game. And they're like, you know what? Let's go to 5v5. It's more running from the problems, but this time I'm okay with running from the problems to another direction because there was no way to solve them. But unfortunately, we're not out of this format, so the problems aren't going to be solved yet. I think you'd be better off actually going to open queue or prefer rolled queue. But we'll see. Thank you guys so much for watching. Those are my thoughts on the patch. We'll try it out. Here's my call. It's going to slow down the game. Tanking's going to be even more miserable. Way more stalemates, especially when the DPS dies first. It's going to be harder to turn fights, I think. And I don't think this is going to achieve what they want. I think this is going to make the game crunch the skill floor and the skill ceiling a lot more, and I don't think that's healthy for a game, in my opinion. But I'm down to try it out and see how it feels. I'm sure playing DPS will feel better because you're going to hit more shots, but, you know, at what cost, right? At what cost is that going to come at? We're going to find out much later. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later. Peace out.